Kath and I both work within the creative media and tech industries, but at its heart, what we both do is look after people and put them into brilliant organisations. Kath obviously putting brilliant leaders into brilliant organisations, and us looking after them whilst they're in there and hopefully keeping those organisations equally brilliant. And what we were talking about was the impact that tech is having on our people and on the industries in which that we work. And what we were saying is that whilst tech is obviously incredible and the impact that it's had, what it's done is it's really increased our capacity for working. And as organisations, we tend to leap on new technologies with FOMO almost, and actually putting them on top of, in most ways, quite old ways of working. And it's having a huge impact on our capacity for working and an impact on our people and how they're feeling. And we really realised this from, for example, for the last 9 years, Kath has obviously been running the shipping forecast, and even back in 2016 saw the impact that this was having on our people, saw the fact that it was having an effect on their mental health. 77% of people said, even back in 2016, that if they were to have any kind of support, any kind of training over the next year, it was actually that they would prefer that it was focused on their mental, spiritual, and emotional health, rather than just more traditional craft skills. And 50% of respondents said even back then that they felt uncomfortable talking about their mental health, which is what led Kath to creating Psyched and putting psychotherapeutic coaching into companies. But when we were talking about this, I was saying that actually what I felt was that talking about tech and tech being at the forefront of this was really only scratching the surface, and that we felt that within Push, and we've done quite a lot of research on this, that there were a few other things that were really affecting how people were thinking and feeling. And I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit more about this today. In fact, you are quite literally the first people to see this. The fact that over the last 5 years, as Push has been running, we invariably go in and talk to companies and talk to their people to really understand what's going on with them and how they're thinking and how they're feeling. And we run audits within those companies. And what we've done, in particular over the last couple of years, and we've quite literally spoken to thousands of people now, is we've pulled together all of those findings into one large industry audit. And that's what I'd like to share with you today. The 4 key insights that we've pulled out, what's going on within our industries and what we think we can be doing to support them. We call them the Push beliefs, and I'd like to quickly chat you through them now before we go on to the rest of the programme. So the first one then, the first insight is that the way we're working isn't working, the first Push belief. Let me explain that to you a little bit more. This insight completely focuses on performance. And whilst we know that technology and innovation are completely affecting the way that we work, in many instances, organisations aren't quite clear how they need to modernise, in particular, how they need to modernise in line with their vision, their purpose and their values, keeping in alignment with that. Moreover, not only are they not only clear how they need to modernise as a business, looking at their ways of working, looking at behaviours, but specifically, how do we need to upskill our people in order to future-proof them, to make sure that they are ready for what's coming. So that's the first one around performance. On to the second one. You can't out-yoga a bad boss. I think there's a clue in the name there. And listen, we're a wellbeing and performance company. You know, we love a bit of yoga as much as the next person. But I think the point here is what we've realised is that we end up in a situation where we put wellbeing programs into companies and we're dealing with symptoms rather than getting to the root cause of the challenges that are going on. And what we mean by those challenges is that more often than not, what we need to really look at is behaviours, and in particular, leadership behaviours, because what we're finding in particular with generational shifts is that we haven't got managers who are ready to lead and to look after their people in new ways, really leaning into new management styles. And what we find is by putting in new leadership behaviours, actually what we're also doing is improving the behaviours of the whole company. So the second insight there and Push belief is around looking at leadership and behaviours. On to the next one. Being human is your superpower, and I think we're going to end up talking about this a lot today. And I believe this lies at the heart of getting our organisations through challenging, new and constantly evolving times. We need to come back to being better at being humans and looking after each other as humans as well. Let me explain what I mean. I think that actually what we need to do within our organisations is create spaces where people can be at their best, and that looks at obviously processes, but also what we're doing within those organisations to ensure that people can be truly vulnerable and consequently brave and therefore thrive. And I think on the other side of that, we also need to get a little bit better as individuals at supporting not only ourselves but other people as well in terms of our self-awareness and our development. So really getting to the best of ourselves and creating spaces where we can do that. Finally, we want work-life balance, we want work-life brilliance, not just work-life balance. Our people now are giving away their time and their energy freely in order to deal with all of the things that are coming at them: work demands, tech demands, family demands, and then our poor Neanderthal minds frazzled trying to make sense of all of this. And the balance that we're trying to achieve, we never quite reach it. We feel constantly guilty, we feel constantly anxious, and balance to me is actually really bloody precarious and really fragile, and we need to get better at working in different ways. And I think at the heart of that, that's not process change, that's a mindset change, and it requires different behaviours, and that's what we need to support our people to do. So those are the insights. It was a whistle-stop tour. We are pulling together the white paper as we speak, and we're going to be launching that in December. We'd love to share that with you properly then. And of course, we'll not only flesh out with lots of statistics, of course, completely anonymised across all of our clients, but also what we believe the solutions are to the challenges that we think are coming up. So we'll be doing that in December. Now, on to the main event. And rather than me waffling on at you, Kath and I thought that if we really want to understand the future of work, what we need to do is get together some clever people to talk about it. And that, of course, is these wonderful people here. And what we're going to be doing is we will obviously run through the morning, and then at the end of that, we will be doing a Q&A with the speakers, which, of course, we would love all of your questions to come in. Please, if you want to tweet them beforehand, that is the hashtag, and we'll be picking them up. Or we will be slightly more traditionally going around with a roving mic. And we've got all of their books, all of the speakers that have books, we've got them all here. So there's plenty to play for. Stick with us.